specifically said about the criminal people who have criminal records should not come to Canada. We have read a news about one specific thing that in last 10 or around 10 years, around 7,000 people who had criminal records, they somehow entered to Canada.
And we need to get back to being a peaceful country again. People shouldn't be afraid here. And I agree, if you commit a serious crime here in Canada, serve your time and you're going back to wherever you came from.
Do you think that there is a shortage of force also, that it should be increased so that checking drives could be increased, patrolling and visibility of police could be increased in the cities? Do you think that do you agree that there need to be more police force in
Policing there, there'd be less likely that drugs like fentanyl and things like guns would be coming in. We need to be doing that. And the police's job is twofold. One is to arrest and to investigate crimes, but there's also a piece around prevention too. And
I think social media is playing a dirty game into all this.
I absolutely do, and technology as well.
So is there any strategy to control this thing on social media? Police, have you ever raised this issue with the local police, RCMP or Surrey police?
This is not a policing issue. This is a larger issue than that. And I think certainly the police do a very, very good job of staying on top of technology, but it's ever evolving. When you think back even, 15 years ago, the type of cell phone, for an example, you had, it looked more like a brick. Yeah. And now we've got everything into our little iPad that, including phones and all sorts.
It's getting slimmer and slimmer.
It's getting slimmer and slimmer and smaller and smaller, and it's probably got more technology in it than our...
more sophisticated,
than even our laptops at home, right?
Yeah, you are right. Specifically said about the criminal people who have criminal records should not come to Canada. But I have read a news about one specific thing that in last 10 or around 10 years, around 7,000 people who had criminal records, they somehow entered to Canada. So do you think that this scrutiny should be done at a very first place, at the doors of the immigration only? Or what the government wants to, what the government thinks about it, that how to scrutinize these people? Because if 7,000 can enter, there could be many more.
We absolutely need to do a better job of scrutinizing who's coming to Canada, and it needs to be done before they actually get to Canada. We shouldn't be issuing any sorts of visas or anything so that people that have a criminal record are coming to Canada. They're not welcome here. And if they're here, we should be sending them back to their countries. It's a huge issue, and we need to get a grasp on it. And I just reflect back on this whole notion around extortion that so many of our residents, particularly in Surrey, are suffering from. They're scared, and rightly so, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
My next question is that you also spoke about the tougher policies. I was speaking to my callers. Many of our callers called me. I would especially like to mention the name of Mr. Laljot Singh and Mr. Mandeep Singh. They told me that the laws should be stricter. Then Inderjeet Singh, he was another caller. He said that there should be a strict procedure of deportation. People who have criminal record or who have committed any kind of crime in Canada, they should be deported immediately. Then Mr. Sam, he specifically mentioned that jails are not like when a criminal goes to jail, he doesn't he should mend his ways, but he doesn't actually. So what kind of policy changes do we need so that we can curb on this crime which is just flourishing in Canada, which used to be a very peaceful country?
Yes, and we need to get back to being a peaceful country again. People shouldn't be afraid here. And I agree, if you commit a serious crime here in Canada, serve your time and you're going back to wherever you came from. There's no place in Canada or in North America, for that matter, that if you commit a serious crime, that you should be allowed to stay and enjoy the privileges that come with living in Canada.
But people are already enjoying it. Now, Is there any procedure to scrutinize people who had committed crime or who have criminal records in their parent countries? Is there any policy in the making in BC or?
Now, this would be a federal policy, and I would say that absolutely before people come to Canada, they need to be scrutinized very, very much as like we do, on other aspects of immigration. This is something that needs to be first and foremost. If you've committed a criminal activity, you should not be allowed in Canada.
Okay. So my question is now, my first question was about the organized crime in Canada. A lot of firing incidents had happened. A lot of gun crime is happening in BC, specifically as you mentioned in Surrey. So what could be the steps to curb this gun crime? As I mentioned in my previous segment of this show, that gun crime is turning out to be a serious crime in Canada. Uh, from where these weapons are coming, how to report legal weapon to a crime stopper, then it could be reported to the concerned authorities. What is the procedure to stop this gun culture?
Well, there's a couple parts to it. First and foremost, when you're talking about gang activity, to me, very, very important is that we educated the youth in terms of what it means when you get involved with gang activity. If you're, for an example, a young male and you're playing sports and you get involved in gang activity and you get arrested, it means you're not going to be able to compete internationally because you're not going to be able to get out of Canada. But we need to be educating our youth on what it means when you get involved in gang activity. We also need to be talking to the parents about what to look for when you think your kids may be getting involved in gang activity. And I'm very proud of the fact, as I was mentioning, I am also a city councillor at the city of Surrey, and we have a wonderful program called Safe in Surrey. So if you suspect your child is getting involved in gang activity, and maybe not there yet, but looks like it's going that direction, there's help through that program. There's also help through CFSCU to get help for your young children, but we need to provide this education. The other piece, when you were asking about guns and coming into Canada, we need to tighten up our ports. We need to make sure that all the container ships that are coming in, that they are properly scrutinized, these containers that are coming in. Right now, there is no port police. We need to have police at our ports and at our ports of entry to make sure that illegal drugs and guns aren't coming in.
Linda, you mentioned that there should be police on ports to check all these containers, that what is coming into Canada. So do you think that there is a shortage of force also, that it should be increased so that checking drives could be increased, patrolling and visibility of police could be increased in the cities? Do you think that do you agree that there need to be more police force in BC?
We need a police strategically positioned, and I will just use an example, our ports. If we had more policing there, there'd be less likely that drugs like fentanyl and things like guns would be coming in. We need to be doing that. And the police's job is twofold. One is to arrest and to investigate crimes, but there's also a piece around prevention too. And I certainly think that we need to be looking at all aspects of it.
My next question is, there was a road rage firing recently in Surrey. Three people just fired at one person, three persons, two persons came and they fired. I would again come to the gun culture, the gun crime. So police have investigated a number of cases, numerous cases they have investigated about the firearms. Did they get the details from where these weapons are coming into Canada?
Well, one of the challenges that the police have is they need to get the information. And there's so many people that know things about either that specific crimes or other crimes in general, and they don't report. They may think that their information is inconsequential, or they may just not want to get involved, or they may have a fear, depending on where they come from, that the police aren't your friend, so they try to just deal with it themselves. That's not the right thing. These problems can't be resolved unless the people participate. If they know information, as small as it might be, to report it. And one of the things that I'm very proud about is I'm the executive director of Metro Vancouver Crime Stoppers. If you call Crime Stoppers, it doesn't matter what information you give us. We won't take your name, your number. We won't take any personal information. You always remain anonymous. And it's a great program. So even if somebody gets arrested, goes to court, you're protected by the Supreme Court of Canada. That is your anonymity. And so I think more people need to use our program. It's widely used, but obviously we can take more tips, and we sure would like to receive them.
So I would like to add one question to this thing. You said that people should report the crime to Crime Stoppers, and their identity will not be disclosed, and they're protected by a special act under of the Supreme Court. So one of my caller, Mr. Makhan Singh, called me recently in the last segment, and he highlighted a very important thing. So he told me that people do not depose against criminals in the courts, which makes prosecution cases very weak. It makes prosecution cases very weaker. So whenever there is a big criminal, big gangster, people doesn't like to speak against them. So how it could be improved, and what is the solution to this problem?
Well, I think the solution really is Crime Stoppers, because we provide that anonymity, and sometimes it might be just a little bit of information that breaks the case open, or it might be a big piece of information. Please have that, and that allows them to proceed to arrest the individuals, and that's the first step that needs to happen. Then when they actually get to court, we need to make sure that the laws of the land are strict enough so that if you've done a serious crime, you go to jail.
But questions have been raised on the small durations, like a person commits a heinous crime, then he gets bail in month or so. Is BC government is coming with some deterrent for that in the coming time?
I can't speak on behalf of the province of British Columbia, but I certainly am advocating for tighter bail laws. The bail should not protect the individual that's been arrested. It should be there to serve as a deterrent so that he or she doesn't do other criminal activities while they're out on bail. If they have been arrested multiple times, they should be not getting bail. They should be staying in jail and waiting for their day in court.
Really?
We're far too soft on our bail.
So this slot's time is ending now. So we will take a short break, commercial break. Then we will again come back, and I will discuss more about crime, and I will also discuss in the next segment that how people should report to you, and what are most under reported crimes which should be reported actually, so that police can work on that, and police can work on that, and crimes can be prevented. ਦੋਸਤੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੰਡੀਆ NSG ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ। ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਮੈਟਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਐਡਵੋਕੇਸੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਮੈਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ BC ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟਰ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਇਟ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟਰ, ਦੀ ਲਾਅ ਸ਼ੁੱਡ ਬੀ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟਰ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੇਲ ਦੇ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੇਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਦੇਣਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਉਹ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਸੀਗਾ। ਸੋ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੁਝਾਅ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ, ਅਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਲੈਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਾਲਰ ਆਏ ਸਨ, ਸੁਹਿਰਦ ਕਾਲਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਏ ਸਨ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸੀ ਸੀ, ਬੜੇ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਨੋਟਿਸ 'ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਇਆ ਸੀ। ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਸਟੋਪਰਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਭਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਪੋਲਿਸੀ ਮੈਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਕਹੀਆਂ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਸਕਰੂਟਨੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਐਲੀਮੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਫੈਡਰਲ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਹੈ, ਬਟ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਰਿਪੋਰਟੇਜ ਆਫ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ। ਸੋ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਦੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਿੰਗ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੀਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਡਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਣ ਤੋਂ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਭਾਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਸਟੋਪਰਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੈਨੀਫੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਨੇ, ਅਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਦਾ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਇਸ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਕੰਟਰੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਰਗੀ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਸਟੋਪਰ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੋਈ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਤਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਉਲਟਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚੀ ਧੂਈ ਫਿਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ। ਸੋ ਬ੍ਰਿੰਡਾ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਆਫ ਆਰ ਸ਼ੋ। ਸੋ ਆਈ ਵੁੱਡ ਲਾਈਕ ਟੂ ਆਸਕ ਯੂ ਅ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ। Do you believe law enforcement and community programs like Crime Stoppers have enough tools and support to address this spike in violence, or is there any more efforts which are needed to improve this reporting?
Well, I can speak certainly about Crime Stoppers to start. Metro Vancouver Crime Stoppers, which is the program that I run, it covers from Boston Bar through to Powell River.
Okay.
It gets about 5,000 tips a year, so it's a very robust program, a busy program. We're open 24/7 and we're staffed the whole time. Our program is very, very effective, but we need more people to use it. Even though we're getting a lot of tips, there's a lot more tips we could be getting. The beauty of our program is you remain anonymous, so when you call us, we don't take your name, your phone number, any personal information. So it's very effective. And one of the other beauties of Crime Stoppers is we take tips in 115 different languages. So many people, may not speak English or comfortable because they're upset, and it's easier for them to express themselves in their mother tongue. They can call us and we'll take tips. So for an example, if you speak Cantonese, we can help you out. Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, no
So
matter what.
you have service in 115 languages.
115.
115 languages.
Yes. And so it's a great program. And it's very easy to use because you can just call us. We're open 24 hours a day, or you can visit our website, www.solvecrime.ca. So it's a pretty robust program, but we do need help from the community, from people to call us and give us the information.
You mentioned in this, you mentioned just that you receive 5,000 tips an year. Can you please just break down what are the most tips about? Which
We get tips about a whole bunch of things, anything from homicides to organized crime to gang violence to impaired driving. We get it all. And, we make sure that the information gets into the proper authorities' hands, but without any of your personal information. So the police can't contact you or any other law enforcement agency because they don't know who you are. And we guarantee that, and we're protected by the Supreme Court of Canada.
Linda, my next question is: we often hear that underlying issues like housing instability and substance abuse contribute to crime. How does Crime Stoppers engage with communities affected by these challenges, and what can citizens do to help?
Well, part of Crime Stoppers also is prevention. Would rather work with the community so that crime activities don't happen there. So we go out and we give presentations to community groups, to children in grade 8 and grade 10. For the children, I think we've done, over the past 5 years, we've reached out to about 75,000 students, and we talk to them about how to keep yourself safe, how not to get involved in gang activity. And for seniors, we have great programs around how to prevent elder abuse or fraud or things like that. So we go out to the community and provide people with these tools so that they can be proactive and before crime happens to them.
Whenever I do a show on crime, I always get calls from my callers, and they always tell me that teaching, education and conditioning of children is very important. At school level, they must be educated that how crime and how substance abuse can ruin their life. Do you believe that this is one of the problems that children are getting involved into such activities at a very younger age?
Well, as early as 10, kids have gotten involved in gang activity, and it oftentimes starts out very innocently. For an example, an older teen may say to them, "I'll give you $100 if you give this bag to somebody else," and the kid thinks, "Well, it's a nice, easy $100. I could never earn that much babysitting or working, for McDonald's or whatever." So they do it, and they don't realize that that's just the beginning of getting them into gang activity. So it's very important that we provide this education, and also education to parents too, because when your son or daughter comes home with flashy new gadgets, a new car, fancy watch, or whatever it might be, and they aren't working, or they may be having, lapses, they're leaving their house, unexpectedly for short duration and coming and going. These are all signs, and parents need to be educated to know what to look for. So I'm always a big advocate of educating people so that they don't get into criminal activity.
You rightly said that people should be educated and parents should also look whenever their children are coming home with flashy gadgets. So it's very important point you have raised. Uh, I hope that all the parents are listening to it and they will obviously act. So my next question is, we always, so tell me one thing, that this gang crime, organized crime, is this a new thing in, because it used to be here in Canada, but nowadays it has become a very violent thing now. Uh, do you think that it is a new challenge to the security agencies in Canada, gang?
Well, I think more and more, we have different tools available to us now than perhaps 20 or 30 years ago. For example, the use of social media, technology, and, all of that has elevated so much more, which makes it more of a challenge even for, police and for the community. But we have to be proactive. We have to get ahead of it, and we have to make sure that our community is as safe as it can possibly be.
Okay. So you mentioned the social media. I wanted to ask a question, so you mentioned already. So how social media is playing, a dirty game in grooming in grooming these criminals.
Well, you look at some of the stuff that gets posted and you think, who would ever post something like that? I can think of, instances where there's been, house parties and people have been parading around showing guns. I mean, you would never have been able to do that before. And I think that kind of stuff needs to be stopped.
Okay. So you think social media is playing a dirty game into all this?
I absolutely do. And technology as well.
So is there any strategy to just to control this thing on social media? Police, have you ever raised this issue with the local police, RCMP or Surrey police?
This is not a policing issue. This is a larger issue than that. And I think certainly the police do a very, very good job of staying on top of technology, but it's ever evolving. When you think back even, 15 years ago, the type of cell phone, for an example, you had, it looked more like a brick.
Yeah.
And now we've got everything into our little iPad that, including phones and
It's
all
getting
sorts
slimmer
of,
and slimmer. I mean,
it's getting slimmer and slimmer and smaller and smaller, and it's probably got more technology in it than our
more sophisticated. I mean,
even our laptops at home, right?
yeah, you are right. So looking forward, what kind of crime prevention strategies is Crime Stoppers promoting to help reduce violence and rebuild a sense of safety in British Columbia neighborhoods?
Well, there's a few things we're doing. We will continue to focus on youth because that's absolutely critical. We want to work with new immigrants coming to Canada because we want them to know how they can report crimes and why they should report crimes, and that the police here are your friends. They're not people that you need to be afraid of. But we also want them to be aware of what Crime Stoppers is too.
Crime Stoppers, for me, it's a very new concept. In countries in South Asia, in India at least, it is not there. So, I would. You said that there are a lot of crimes like extortion thing. It is underreported. I was doing a show last month on transport, safety of transport, public transport. So some few girls called in and they told me that there are issues. Some people harass them while traveling, so they don't report. I asked them to report. So how do you encourage the women to, what is the procedure? How do you encourage the women to report the crime at least so that it could come in light and police can act and you can you can alert the concerned authorities?
Well, I think it's absolutely critical. Sometimes I know reporting can be very uncomfortable, but you also have to think if you don't report, there may be 100 victims behind you that wouldn't become victims had you reported. And so I think we all have a social responsibility if we see something that isn't right or we know something that isn't right, that we report. Because if we don't, think of all the other victims whose tragedies could have been saved.
Uh, and its last, can you please explain to us, like, if I have to report to Crime Spotter stoppers, if a common layman has to report any of the crime, if he's crossing a road and he sees anything. So, what is the procedure to report to the Crime Stoppers, and then what happens next?
So what if you know something, and I would say even if you suspect something, don't necessarily be the judge, but call us, and you call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, or you can leave a tip on our website. And very simple questions, and if you don't speak English, no problem. We can take tips in 115 different languages. We're open 24/7, so call us as soon as you suspect something. The sooner we can get the information to the police, the better off it is. Once we get that information from you, you'll be given a number, and you can call us back at any time and ask for an update on your tip. And if your tip is successful, you can get a reward of up to $5,000.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes a long time. If it's organized crime, by way of example, it can be very complex. But at some point in time, we'll be able to tell you if your tip was successful or not.
So you talked about reward also. So, I mean, suppose somebody has called you, then he or she gave you a tip. Then what would be your next step? And there is a fear among people that although you said that you are not going to disclose their numbers or identities, it will be an anonymous caller. But there is still a fear among people that at one stage they can be exposed. So when suppose I called you, I gave you a tip, or any layman gave you a tip, then like my last question, which I think I'm missing, the answer is that if you get a tip, after getting the tip, what the next step you do?
So what we do with the tip, we review it to make sure there's absolutely no personal information there, particularly if you've left it.
So you would contact the concerned police of that area.
So what we do is we go through your tip and make sure there's nothing that would possibly reveal your identity. We then pass it on to the police, and the police don't have any IP addresses from you. They have no phone number, no name, no address or anything. They review it, then they investigate it, and then they report back to us.
Okay. So my last question is my last question. So I have taken so much time of you. So there is prosecution. I mean, there are legal tangles. Then after a crime, once a crime is reported, then the tip goes to the police. Then police acts on it. So then comes the court role. I have read a lot of hundreds of cases. I have read that where prosecution had to withdraw, or the case became weaker because there were no witnesses to it, and there were anonymous witnesses to it. So if a person, first responder the first caller gave you a tip, then you go to the police, the tip goes to the police, then the case goes to the court. So how you deal with that thing, that the case remains a stronger case?
So what happens is the police get the Crime Stoppers tip. That opens up the file, and that allows them to begin the investigation. Oftentimes, it's not just the Crime Stoppers tip. The Crime Stoppers tip might collaborate what they already know. It may be just the piece of information that they're missing, or it may start the file. So there's multiple sources of information that will come into play before the person is arrested.
Okay. So I'm saying again and again. So question is that my caller had asked me one question, so I want to ask that. Mr. Sam has asked one question. So I am just adding to his question only. He told me that jails needed to be improvement. They are like improvements are needed into jail environment of those jails. So do you agree with that thing, that there is a lot of work to do in the jail so that we can rehabilitate the criminals, so they don't come as a more notorious criminals after going to jail? He told me that once a criminal goes to jail, then he become more hardened criminal. So do you think that there are efforts which should be put in to improve the jail environment?
Well, it's a personal opinion that I have, because I'm no expert in what happens in our prisons, but I do think that each prisoner that goes there has a unique case, and we need to make sure when he or she is in jail, that they're being rehabilitated, not just left there to do their time. Their time should be meaningful, whether it means, getting out of their, if they have a drug problem, let's get them help to get rid of that problem. If they, have some psychological issues, let's get them the help, let's get them the education, let's get them work ready when they're coming out of jail.
Thank you very much, Anis. So you have given us, around 1 hour today. So you spoke in length about all these issues, especially crime. Crime is like a part of society. You can't be saying that it is a zero crime society, but yes, whenever crime increases, it always poses a danger to the common man, to the layman. Everybody feel a sense of fear whenever they go out. So you explained very technically that how a person should, first of all, crime stoppers do not disclose your identity. So the caller who sees anything suspect, they can just come in and they can call and they can ask the crime stoppers to act on that. Then the call goes to the police and police starts the work, and that way you can prevent crimes. And you also talk about talked about that public transport, that yes, women should report that.
Yes.
You also talked about underreporting. So thanks very much from my listeners as well. Radio Sherepunjab 600 AM always is thankful to you that you always come to the studio and you share your thoughts with us. So I would like to thank you for that.